What is your greatest fear? And what is holding you back from conquering that fear? In the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper is a guy who has a lot of potential, but he can never quite get it there. He's someone that has talent, has intelligence, but doesn't quite have that follow through. He's got a book that he didn't quite write. He's got plans that he didn't quite follow through on. He's got a girlfriend that he couldn't quite keep. And he's going through life hopeless and in despair. And then he runs into a drug dealer. And only in a movie is that the start of the solution to the problem. But in this movie, yes, the drug dealer has this miracle drug that allows him to use his brain to limitless potential, which is where they got the name Limitless. This pill, if he takes this pill, he can now use 100% of his brain. And I'm sure some of you have probably heard that we only use 10% of our brains. We only use 10. So just think of what we could accomplish if we had 100% of our brain capacity. So Bradley goes, and by the way, I didn't realize if you don't say Cooper besides after Bradley, he sounds like a British, not barber, a British butler. There it is. You know, Alfred Jeeves, Bradley. Oh, get us the laundry, Bradley. Hop to it, cheerio. Come on, Bradley. So we'll call him Brad. So Brad, he takes this drug, not really knowing what exactly it's going to do. And what do you think the first thing he does with this limitless potential that he's got in his brain? The first thing that he does with this brain that has so much capability. Anybody? He hits on a girl. Which, yes, many guys are thinking, not too bad a decision. But what's funny to me about it is it works. Because you all know that Einstein, Edison, Tesla, they were players. Yeah, they had women flocking to them, that's right. Intelligent guys, they know how to get girls, right? No, not so much. In fact, it's funny because even the way that he does it, the way that he hits on the girl, is by being very knowledgeable. And he says all these things and he presses her because he knows so much. And I can just imagine some guy watching that movie who maybe knows a lot, maybe he's good at Jeopardy, thinking, oh, great! I now know how to get girls. All I have to do is go to the bar and impress them and how much I know. That's going to work out great for me. Then they go to a bar and guess if it works out or not. Probably not so much. It might have something to do with the fact that he looks like Bradley Cooper, that he was able to get the girls. But that's basically what happens in the beginning of the film with his limitless mind. He goes to parties, shows how much knowledge he has, and then people invite him to more parties. That's the thing, which I don't think would really work. In fact, actually, first of all, you don't use only 10% of your brain capacity. That's a myth. You use somewhere between 10 and 30% in any given moment. And so that's where that comes from. It comes from the fact that our brain activity lights up in different spots depending on what we're doing. At any given moment, we only have about 10 to 30%, or less so if we're talking about middle school kids listening to a lecture in their, classroom. So then it's maybe, 8%. But most of us, 10 to 30% is what our brain is going on right now, and that changes the parts in our brain that moves around. And intelligence is a good predictor for success only when it comes to IQs from 100 below to about 120. And then afterwards, there's 120 IQ and greater that people think, oh, those people are certainly people that have been able to achieve a lot in life. But not so much. In fact, someone decided that they were going to take people that had genius IQs in elementary school and help them get all the advantages they could, because certainly these people would contribute to society in a significant way. So they took all these genius kids. We're talking about way past 120 IQ, 130, 175, 200 IQ kids, and gave them all the potential in life, and then they followed them. This happened years and years ago, so we've watched these people over 50 years, and they've actually just performed average. They haven't performed any better than average. And my personal theory is because IQ is not what limits us in life. If I had to pick what limits us in life more than anything, it's perseverance. It's whether we have the strength to keep working even when things are difficult, to keep moving forward and keep trying to improve no matter what our starting point is. That's what limits us in life. And I think, honestly, if there's any intelligence factor that matters most in success in life, it's our ability to empathize, our ability to place ourselves in other people's shoes and listen to them, which is the exact opposite of what Bradley Cooper does in Limitless. But surely from there it goes and even more extreme, and I get it's just supposed to be an entertaining movie, but then it gets to a kind of ridiculous level where all of a sudden he's about to be attacked by 6 people, and he thinks back to watching a Bruce Lee film, and immediately, like, whoa, everybody's kung fu fighting, he just takes them all out, just no need to build up strength or speed, just knowing Bruce Lee's movements, he could just do it. And some of us have this attitude that that's how we treat Christianity. Like, we just take this magic Jesus pill and everything's going to be fine. Just take a Jesus pill at the night and Jesus pill in the morning, and then all your problems will be solved. Just take this miracle elixir, fix you up quick, sir. And if Jesus worked like that, my brother's knee wouldn't be hurting today. He'd have hair on his head. I would have six-pack because I just rubbed Jesus on my belly and six-pack. All right, life would be completely different if that's the way that Jesus worked. Jesus isn't a miracle pill. And that's how people sometimes sell Christianity. Just rub Jesus on your finances, and then all of a sudden, all your bills will be paid. Rub Jesus on your relationships, and then all of a sudden, you can hit on all the ladies and they fall for you. But it doesn't work that way. Now, Jesus performed miracles, and I believe that Jesus can heal people in miraculous ways. But if you really pay attention and you look closely at most of Jesus' miracles, he did them pretty much just to get people's attention and to get them to start listening to what he was saying and to encourage them to follow him in following this different path of life. That there was a better way to live, a way of loving God and loving your neighbor. In fact, at one point, he even describes that generation like saying, hey, you're complaining because we played the flute for you, but you did not dance. In other words, saying, dance, monkey Jesus, perform a miracle for us. Which I happen to be curious, I wonder what he would think about our generation, if he thought that of that generation, because I don't think we've become less of that mentality. We've probably become more. And that's how we act. But life is difficult, and life following Jesus' call is very challenging. It's a daily struggle and one that we have to walk out in difficult circumstances in life. And I don't know about you, but if you were paying attention when my dad was reading that gospel reading, there's some challenging things in that. So the first guy comes to Jesus and he's like, hey, Jesus, I want to follow you. Wherever you go, I'll go. And Jesus doesn't respond and say, great. He responds and says, well, foxes have their holes, birds have their nest, but I'm sleeping on the ground. And it's like if someone came up to me and said, I want to become a Christian. I said, oh, I don't know about that. Maybe you should think about this. This is not as easy as it looks. I mean, that mentality is so foreign to us because we're so zealous about trying to show people, hey, and I get it. Like, Jesus has helped me a lot in my life. So when people don't have Jesus in their lives, I want to just give them Jesus. I want to share what I know. I want to shove that magic Jesus pill down their throat, close up their mouth, and just wait till they have to swallow. I want to do that, but should I do that? If you try to do that in your relationships with anything, like here, right? It's not going to work. Nobody's going to listen to you. That's it. You're done. You're out. No thanks. Shut down. Let's get on with this. Instead, you have to love people. By the way, if anyone is single, I can tell you this. Your ability to use these is far more important than your ability to use this. If you're really good at using this, you're going to do far greater. And it's the same thing with helping other people and loving other people. And if you get really good at listening to them and hearing what they're struggling and not just shoving Jesus pills down their throat, you can have a far better chance to actually help them and actually introduce them to Jesus' love. Another guy comes to Jesus and he says, hey, I love this. This sounds good. And I kind of want to follow this. But I'd like to bury my father first. Now, there's debate on whether the father was actually dead or not. So scholars are actually debating this. They don't know whether he was dead. He might have been alive, and it is far more complicated to bury your father if he's still alive. He keeps getting out of the coffin, like, get back down. Yeah. It's like Monty Python. It's like, here's your dead. Oh, I've got your dead right here. It's like, actually, I'm still alive. Like, oh, no, shut up, quiet. He's dead. He's basically dead. He's going to be dead any minute. You can just take him. And it's like, no, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm actually feeling pretty good. And it's like, oh, no, trust me, he's dead. He's dead. It's like, okay, we can take a bonk. Okay, now we bury him. All right, let's get on with this. But either way, it sounds like a reasonable request. I just want to bury my dad. But Jesus says, let the dead bury their own dead. And there's another guy who says, let me just say goodbye to my family. Surely let me say goodbye to my family. Family's important. And Jesus says, you can't look back. You can't look back on your life and all the things that have happened and all the things in your past. You got to move forward. This is difficult. Set your face to the forward, to the future. And look around and you're going to see a common denominator. If you look, you're going to see a lot of people that are my family. And so you could say, well, clearly Richard didn't do this, what Jesus is saying here. But if you look closer, you're going to see that my family is not decided by my biological blood. My family is decided by something far deeper than that. The only thing that matters in the blood of my family is the blood of Jesus, and you are all my family. You are my brothers and sisters. We are all a family, and that's what this is really all about. Because Jesus is showing us a better and deeper family. That we can have family where we didn't before. And that's part of why this challenge is so difficult. Because even I, with the family that I loved, that I had to divorce myself from some of the traditions that we had as a family, some of the history that we had, some of the things that we had. I had to move past that and to move forward. I love how it actually expresses it in a different translation when they're talking about Jesus heading towards Jerusalem. It said he turns his face like flint towards Jerusalem. I mean, the dedication, the passion, the drive that is expressed in that phrase is just powerful for me. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Coach Carter. Has anybody seen the Coach Carter movie? Just a couple of you? Wow, you guys got to watch movies. Okay. Coach Carter is a guy who is a basketball coach, and he takes a job at a high school that's like this inner city high school. By the way, it is based on a true story. And at this inner city high school, he knows that most of the guys who are on the basketball team have these dreams about being NBA basketball players, and that's how they're going to have success in their life. They're going to be NBA stars. But he knows better. He knows that most of them will end up in prison, because that's the statistics of that city in that demographic. And so when he comes, he gives them a contract. And the contract, and this is all a true story, by the way, gives them a written contract that only has 1 out of 10 things that has anything to do with playing basketball. The others have to do with their character and doing well in school. They have a higher standard than the rest of the school for student athletes that they have to keep up. And he challenges them to get a degree so they can go to college, so they can make something of their life, so they can succeed in their life. Because whether you're good at basketball in the end of your life isn't really going to matter. But whether you're a good man or woman does. So actually his son, and I love this part, is so inspired by his dad's coaching and what his dad is doing that he quits his very Ivy League private rich kids class in school and on his own applies for school at that inner city school so that he can play for his dad. And he writes on his own contract that has all the same things in the other person's contract, just harder restrictions. And he says, Dad, I want to do this. I believe in what you're doing. I want to do it with you. So he goes and he plays for that team. And the team is undefeated, which, by the way, they're undefeated despite the fact that the two highest scorers from last year wouldn't sign the contract, so they didn't play. And they're undefeated, and you think, success, right? But then he got the progress reports of the students, and he realized that they weren't fulfilling the contract. Many of them, though they were all eligible under the school rules, they weren't hitting his standard. They weren't hitting what he said as a coach because he was setting a standard that made it so they wouldn't just graduate high school, but they could have a shot at going to college. That's, by the way, why he had the standard he had. So he locked up the gymnasium. They lost practices, they lost games, they couldn't compete, and everyone was in an uproar. They would have fired him if it wasn't for the media attention because some people really liked what he was doing. But the actual school district decided to take a vote, and you would think the school district, academia versus athletics, which are they going to say is more important? Are they going to stand by the coach? Nope. They voted to have the gymnasium unlocked and them to be able to start practicing again, even when it meant that the coach was going to quit. And there's this awesome scene where the coach is coming with his box thinking that this is the end, he's going to quit, and he sees all his athletes in the gymnasium, but they're not playing basketball. They're all sitting at desks because they dragged desks into the court and they were having teachers tutor them so that they could follow what their coach was saying. There's this line that one of them says. He says, and I'm going to say the actual quote that he was quoting because he said it a little different, but he said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people to do the same. As we liberate from our own fear, our present automatically liberates others." See, in that community, there were many people that would be made fun of for getting an education, made fun of for focusing on books rather than athletics. Who are they to think that they're smart enough to go to college? Who are they to think that they can succeed in life? And some of us limit ourselves by the same thing. We look at our family and we say, who am I to be something because my family was nothing? Who am I to be a man who's a good father because I had no father? Who am I to be a mother that cares for my daughters when I had a bad example of my mother? And Jesus is saying, I've got better. I've got more for you. I've got a limitless life for you. Now, when I read that quote, I have to admit, there's part of me that thinks that quote makes it sound way too easy, because it's not easy. It's hard. It's a daily walk that says, I'm going to rise above my circumstance, I'm going to be better than my past, and I'm going to make a difference. There's another movie called Lean on Me. If anybody's seen it, Lean on Me has one of these quotes that every time I hear it, I start to bawl. And hopefully I can say it without crying. I failed in preparation this morning. I was just bawling in the back room. So if anyone heard anybody weeping, that wasn't the nursery, that was me. But there's this scene where this principal, so he comes in the school to try to inspire them and make a difference. And he has a high standard. He says, you have to meet this standard. But he cares for those kids. And they end up arresting him because he put locks on. I don't know what it's about, people having a problem with locks. But anyway, they arrest him because he put locks on the door to keep the drug dealers out. And while he's in prison, the kids come and they start to picket and they start to say, let him free, free Mr. Clark, free Mr. Clark. And there's this woman trying to explain why he should be arrested and why he shouldn't be free. And this one girl cries out, I can't even start. After this woman says, Mr. Clark is not Ridgemont High, which is the name of the high school. She said, Mr. Clark is more than Ridgemont High. Mr. Clark is like a father to us. And to many of us, it's the only father we've ever known. It's like a father to us. This Christian life is not easy. It's challenging and it's hard. And people have sacrificed their life throughout history again and again to follow it. But these people that sacrifice their life throughout history, these people are the people that change history for the rest of the world. These are the people like Jim Elliot, who said, no man is a fool to give what he cannot keep, to get what he cannot lose. He came to a society that was filled with violence and murder to try to show him a better way, a way to love, and they killed him for it. But it doesn't end there, because his widow and children came after he died and shared love to that same tribe, and they were so overwhelmed by that love that they changed the way that they lived their life. That same love is the love that Martin Luther King Jr. fought and died for. And if you say that it's not worth it for what he came to do, if you say that Martin Luther King Jr.'s sacrifice was in vain, then I don't think this is the right community for you, because I cherish the way that society has been improved because of that man. And let's not forget the greatest example of all, which is Jesus Christ himself, who laid down his life. He says, no one takes it from me. I lay it down willingly so that you might have life and life abundantly. At the end of his life, when he knew he was going to die, he had an opportunity to escape. He had an opportunity to walk away. He had an opportunity to live in peace and harmony and just go on, but he didn't. He took the hard road because he wanted you to have life. Because he loved you, because he felt like you were worth it. And he changed human history forever. From that point on, that some guy born in obscurity 2,000 years ago has changed the world because of sacrificial love, which is hard, which is tough, which is difficult, but keep on moving forward. Put your face like flint towards that holy city, that place that you know to go, even if it's difficult, even if it means forgiving people that have hurt you, even if it means letting go of your past, even if it means dealing with the demons and the difficulties that you struggle with every day. Put your face forward and say, I'm going to move forward, and if I fall, then I'm going to fall into the arms of Jesus and let his grace cover me and get back up again and start walking again. Because greater is he within me than he that is in the world. Greater is his wisdom than my intelligence. Greater is His strength than my weakness. And I believe that every single one of you are limitless. I believe that. Not because of your genius, not because of your beauty and your marvelousness on your own, but because of God's love for you, that if you follow Him and you let that shine in your life, you can do anything that He calls you to. You're limitless.